Kia ora, I'm Tom Kitchen, and today on The Detail.
6-storey dwellings and the loss of special character areas, the face of Auckland is set to change.
This is a permanent shift in the flexibility of housing supply with a long-term impact of more compact, efficient and affordable cities.
And it's revealed more higher density housing across the city than previously.
The NPSUD is a powerful tool that enables greater intensification in our cities.
The council acting on central government rules, including 6 storeys near large urban centres.
Intensification is important because enabling more homes to be built within our major urban areas is one of the key things that we can do to help with the housing crisis.
There goes the big section, the backyard swing set, the apple trees and the veggie garden. But even if you live in one of these new high-rises, it turns out that's not always the case, at least on the garden front. You got coffee?
Yes, this is a coffee tree.
Oh, I don't think I've ever seen a coffee tree before. It's not something you get in New Zealand.
The whole garden's community, so you will have working bees there on Sundays and the community will gather there, they will plant, they will harvest. It's all done together.
Community gardens are popping up all over our big cities, and every one of them is a little bit different. Sometimes it's about feeding the whānau, and sometimes it's just about getting your hands in the dirt.
The reward is at the end if you put your heart and soul into it.
It tastes so good when you know it's come from right there and it's been loved by the community, and there's been so many different hands that have brought that kai to the table.
I think it connects people, and that's been our mission really.
I'm visiting 2 similar but very different community gardens in Tāmaki Makaurau. Both designed to deal with the cost of living crisis and the push towards higher density housing. But they're tackling them in very different ways. First, just down the road from RNZ's Central Auckland office, the Auckland City Mission's Homeground Apartments. Yeah, kia ora, Nicola.
Yes, that's me.
Hey,
Hi.
Tom, nice to meet you.
Oh yeah, nice to
Nick
meet you.
Bowden is the Mission's supportive housing manager.
So we want to go up to the garden.
Yeah.
Homeground opened last year. It's kind of a one-stop shop for Auckland's most vulnerable. Everything from apartments, health and social services and meeting spaces. We make our way to the rooftop garden where I meet some more of the team.
Tom, this is Shirlene.
Hey Shirley,
Hey.
Nice to meet you.
So Shirlene lives here, and she is one of our kaitiaki in the gardens, right?
We're on a large outdoor patio. There's a seating area with a barbecue and a few metres of raised beds to the side. And we're 9 floors up.
Okay, we've got lemon trees here, strawberries in here. There's also flowers, sort of all sorts of flowers. See, we've got strawberries coming up.
Oh, nice.
Next
door, there's an indoor space that acts as a glass house with tall trees reaching the ceiling.
These are the banana trees that they planted when they first arrived. And these are actually 18 months old. When they first started growing, they would have been about...
So only a couple of metres high, and now they're probably,
right up.
3 or 4 or 5 metres, would you say? Yeah.
Yeah, easy.
At least
easy.
5.
Yeah, at least 5.
You got coffee?
Yes, this is a coffee tree.
Oh, I don't think I've ever seen a coffee tree before. It's not something you get in New Zealand.
At the moment I'm still doing this garden. We've got kawakawa.
Kawakawa.
Yeah, as you know, that's a rongo.
We'll come back to Homeground soon, but let's take a trip away from the hustle and bustle of Auckland CBD to a new suburb that's often held up as a model for doing intensification right. It's Hobsonville in West Auckland, and it's built on the site of a former Air Force base. Until 1967, it was a headquarters for flying boats, and remnants of that history are reflected in some of the street names and in the Catalina Community Garden. I'm meeting 2 of the gardeners, Sharon and Trish.
Hi, I'm Tom.
Hi.
Shalom for Sharon.
Yes, I'm Sharon.
Nice to meet you, Sharon. How are you?
We're sort of on a bit of a peninsula here. The land is very precious here. It's very built up, high density area, but we have managed to get this little bit of land.
We're in a small space between a big new retirement village that's still under construction and a nature reserve bordering the area's well-used 5-kilometre loop walk. but I'm looking out at a long line of raised garden beds featuring an explosion of colours.
You come in the front. It's gated originally because of the rabbits were a problem, but it's also sort of neatens it up and puts a boundary around it, and it's also handy for growing things along as well. And you get people. It's on the walkway, right around the point. So we get a lot of people passing. A lot of people admiring the garden,
stopping and having a chat. They're often, they say, "This is lovely," and "What are you doing?" And that's really.
Tell me, start of spring, what are the big plants that are growing at the moment?
Well, there's lots getting going. Lots of seedlings, tomatoes. We're sort of growing broccoli because each plot is individually owned and rented, so to speak. People are doing their own thing.
Do you have a particular plot yourself?
Yes.
Can I have a look at yours?
Oh. Well, it'd be nice to look at Trish's first.
Oh, Trish? Yeah, let's have a look at yours.
I'm the one with the tulips.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, so for about 3 or 4 years I've planted bulbs in here, and it just gives me joy, but it also gives joy to the people going past on the walkway, and they'll often comment on how beautiful it looks. I've put them into like colour areas, so all the red tulips have more or less died off now, and we've got the dark purple and yellow tulips, which are quite striking, and it gives the place a bit of a lovely glow. Yeah.
There you go. What else have you got on your plot here? Where else
I've
are you
got
going?
some herbs. I've got coriander and parsley and dill. I've got a couple of cabbage plants. I've got a courgette. I've got some broad beans.
Sharon, do you have a plot yourself?
Yes. I'm experimenting. I'm always experimenting a bit to see what grows here, and each year it's different what we get out of it. But
why is that?
I think there's different weather conditions. It's very hard over summer to keep all the soil moist, so we're experimenting with different ways of irrigation.
Well, what have you got here? What are you planting here at the moment?
Well, the celery. This is broccoli, the silver beets, spring onions, the calendula. I'm trying to do a lot of companion planting as well to keep the bugs out. There's a lot of snails and things, and sometimes it gets a bit disheartening. But this year we're trying to get people to have a sort of potato growing competition. So I brought these PB 40 bags, and everyone can fill up whatever soil they want. And we're going to see how many potatoes we can get in each bag.
Oh yeah, how are you going at the moment?
Well, they've all come up, and it's great. I'll put more soil in there and hopefully build up.
After the tour, I talked to Sharon and Trish about why they have the garden, which has been around for about 10 years.
I think it connects people, and that's been our mission really. We're working bees, and we have social afternoons where we come and have a cup of tea, or in the winter perhaps some mulled wine.
Well, why not just set up your own little private plot of vegetables in your own property?
Because there's no room really.
Why is that? Yeah.
A lot of the houses have very, very little space, and because they're so close together, there's often a sun issue. You don't get enough sun to actually grow anything. There's a lot of apartments where there's just no room outside.
Yeah, the high density really lends itself to getting to know your neighbours and in your blocks and that sort of thing. And community gardens another way of just meeting people. Yeah, people are sort of time poor here though, so it's it has its challenges.
Why are they time poor?
So sort of they go out to work and come back in, and there's not much room. So with having a community garden like this, it encourages people just to get out of their houses and come out into open air and meet people. My husband said if we moved here, because I had a big garden at our other place and I was a bit reluctant to move here, he said, look, don't worry, there'll be a community garden you can get involved with. And so, yes, that was the incentive for us to move here.
But yeah, how many plots have we got here?
We've got 29 plots.
And who kind of, if you're quite new to gardening, who teaches you about this kind of thing?
I guess the people in the plots around you, or at one of the gatherings, you often meet up with people, and you just chat about what are you growing, and oh, I didn't even know you could grow that here, and there's a lot of communication, which is lovely. People in the summertime will often come here after work, and just cruise by and stop and chill out and perhaps sit down and have a beer. It has been kind of like a hub for especially guys, actually. They tend to come here.
Oh, like a bit of a men's shed.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Man cave.
Yeah.
And how much of your own vegetables would you say you grow here versus, when you go to the supermarket?
Oh, I tend to live off my garden. I mean, there's always the spinach and the broccoli, the herbs. The only trouble is, like last year when I grew the potatoes, I didn't actually have enough for many meals. So small amounts, but that's why I think we really need to go a bit more bigger spaces.
I think it's more of a supplement in some ways. I pop over and gather up some herbs for a salad, or pick some broad beans or something, and some spinach. It's for us, we're still buying vegetables.
Do you think there's any way to go completely off the supermarket vegetables?
You could if you had a huge garden.
Yeah, you need a bigger space and more planning.
I think for family, I don't think you couldn't live off your plot here.
Also pottering around the plots on this beautiful sunny day, I meet Tania Bromley, a tomato plant in hand. She's a North and West Auckland facilitator for Gardens for Health, a Disabilities Association initiative which supports community gardens. She tells me all about the different types of gardens she's involved with.
Every single one pretty much is set up differently. There is one that is actually at a church and the pastor lives on site, so it's a little bit more of a private garden with still allotments. There is another one behind a church right down the bottom of a slope which has allotments at the back of it in Torbay at St Mary's. There's Ranui Garden, which is huge, and a large plot there is also used by the Ranui Community Centre's cafe. So they have a gardener that works on that, and it's a huge circle chopped up into segments, and different people have a segment of it. So it's a nice layout, and we're working on going to build a herb spiral there, as well as a hanging garden eventually. So we're just looking at different ideas there.
Can you describe the difference in the garden? So you've got this one which has allotments and different...
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect difference from this one would be Forest Hill, Grow Forest Hill. The whole garden is community. The whole garden's community. So you will have working bees there on Sundays, I think it's a Sunday, and the community will gather there, they will plant, they will harvest. It's all done together. You can plant things there, but that doesn't mean that that's what you'll harvest. So it's purely a community garden. And the whole point of it is to grow community.
Okay, so that means anyone can kind of come and pick something up, or anyone who's been
on
involved
a harvest day. The idea is that it's very well run and set up. It's only been around for a couple of years now. It's quite a new one.
So why have community gardens?
Well, with the cost of living crisis going on, it's so important for people to know how easy it is to grow your own food, and using community gardens as the base for people to go to and learn those skills. You learn different composting skills. The Compost Collective come across to all the gardens and will do composting workshops, and there's so many different ways you can compost, and just learning what different plants are. And there's so many people that just don't recognise what's in the garden, and they're not really sure how it grows or what to do with it. So really it's a huge education for the community. Anywhere you put a community garden, you want to get people in there learning in the tiniest space in one of these beds just how much you can grow and how easy it is once you've had a little practice and some guidance.
Yeah.
We want to make that available and easy.
It's a lot cheaper too when you think about it. You just buy a couple of seedlings from Bunnings or Mitre 10, or you go down to your community garden, you get some for cheap.
Don't even have to buy them. You can just save the seeds from things. You can ask other people if they've got any potatoes that have gone to seed, and then put them in a pot of mud, pot of earth. It's you can do all sorts of different things without even having to go out and buy them yourself.
Back in town, Homeground's Nick Bowden explains what was behind the move to top an apartment tower with plants.
Well, I think the opportunity and the challenge that we had around the high-density apartment-style living was how do we still stay connected with what's so important to us, you know, the environment, the whenua, and kai. So in that, in the design phase and the process around the apartments, of course, it was only natural that we would incorporate a garden in Te Marakai somehow. And I think having that community space really opens a platform for people to share their skills and to participate. So whether it is in Te Mara doing some gardening, or whether it's in the cooking phase, or helping out on the computers, the beauty of having that all together is there's weaving in and out of that space quite naturally, and there's, that whakawhanaungatanga, building relationships and getting to know each other.
Have you got a favourite plant or veggie that you grow?
Anything that you can eat.
Nicola?
Favourite. Well, I can't wait to hopefully try the taro that we've just pulled up this morning. But my favourite is leafy greens, because they're always growing, they're perpetually there, and so easy to just grab and chuck in to either top up my lunch, or if we're making a community kai.
Is it also a cost of living thing as well, and trying to encourage people to grow things at home rather than, popping down to the supermarket?
Definitely. The cost of living is just horrendous. So what I actually want to do is be able to eat out of our garden by Christmas time, and we've got tomatoes, we've got everything available, and good kai for us to eat, because just even buying silver beet is quite expensive these days. So, I recommend growing a garden. It's so easy. It just takes time.
And I think what Shirlene touched on there around that cost of living and the opportunity to learn some skills, to grow some of your own kai, again speaks to, I guess, the vision for Homeground around food sovereignty, what it means to reconnect and have that rangatiratanga in your own life. Is so much about the bigger picture of what's happening here for people every single day.
Yeah, so basically you mean, having control over that aspect of your life.
Absolutely.
Well, food brings people together, and the thing like with the garden, I'm wanting to do pickles and, show people how to do pickles and how to actually properly eat out of your garden, and bottling stuff. I grew up with bottling and doing pickles and stuff like that. Not very many people do it these days.
Yeah.
So, it's just another skill to give back to others in our community.
And that's another really good point and opportunity that we have as well. There's a huge connection between health and hauora and housing, and the ability to maintain your housing. So it's one thing to have a whare and a roof over your head, but how do you make that a home, and how well are you? And so much of what we're doing is about supporting people to sustain their tenancies, as well as fulfilling their hauora. And there's those things like being able to pickle, the kai from the garden, or pick your own veggies. Shirley mentioned the kawakawa and the rongoa that we've got growing in the garden.
Learning how to do, use what we have around us anyway, making use of it and showing other people, because a lot of people here, they weren't brought up with that, so that's just a stepping stone to teach some of the tenants in here. We all enjoy it, it's a gathering for all of us, time for us to all get together, but the food is just as good,
Yeah. But it tastes so good when you know it's come from right there, and it's had, it's been through this process, and it's been loved by the community, and there's been so many different different hands that have brought that kai to the table.
There's rewards, it's timing of the essence really, and the reward is at the end. If you put your heart and soul into it, you'll see what it's at the end of it, because I know that it takes a bit of time and effort to do a garden, but your rewards are there, and it's just all it costs you is your time.
And we've had different ways that people have participated in the gardening space here. And there's been times where maybe people have pulled things up that weren't supposed to be pulled up, and it's caused a bit of some disruption in the community about why that was pulled up, but using that as an opportunity to have engagement in the garden. So I think out of that one, we actually made some signs to signpost what was what, so that more people would understand, and if they wanted to come up and pick something. And then it also provided another opportunity for people to input or participate in different ways. So if they didn't necessarily or weren't that keen on gardening, maybe they could put their creative skills to use by painting
signs,
a beautiful sign and things like that. So just
having that interaction as a community has been really rewarding for all of us.
Yeah, taking a step back and seeing the bigger picture. It's more than just the garden, it's more than just Te Marakai. It's who we are.
That's it for today. I'm Tom Kitchen. The Detail is supported by the Public Interest Journalism Fund. This episode was engineered by William Saunders. Our producers are Alexia Russell and Bonnie Harrison. Thanks to Nick and Shirlene from Homeground, Sharon and Trish from Catalina in Hobsonville, and Tania from Gardens for Health. He wā pai ki te mahi mara. It's a great time of year to be in the garden. Ka kite anō.